All right, so this is going to be a little bit different than the majority of the things that I'm putting out there, even though I like to send positive messages, spread words of encouragement, share a little bit of my story so that I can encourage others. I thought I would get on here really quick because I said I was going to make a video based off of a last picture that I posted. And that picture was of a car that me and my sister used to sleep in when we were homeless, having to pee in buckets and poop in buckets and shower wherever we could. You know, the next one was a slide. I used to sleep on this slide that had a cover over it. And then so what I would do is, this is kind of a point where I'm jumping right into it. So this was a point where my sister decided to be with this abusive dude. While living in this car, he would abuse her. I would try to defend her. By that point, you know, I had my lady, my daughter's mom. And so we couldn't be together. So what I would do is during the day, I would go over there and stay all day long until her mom would come home. And then when her mom would come home, I'd jump out of a window upstairs carrying a black plastic bag, and I'd walk all the way across Vallejo to this particular park in the middle of the night. And that's where I would sleep. And so I remember that fear of hearing all these people around me. And, you know, and I knew that God was protecting me, because at any given point, they could have come up there and found me. I was young. I can hear the fights. I can hear them selling drugs. I can hear like everything. I can hear people at the bottom of the slide and having sex, like you name it. It was a lot to deal with. And then at the crack of dawn, like I didn't have a watch or anything at that point, but I knew what time it was. I'd get up at the same exact time. I mean, I probably didn't even sleep if maybe an hour or two. It was a very unhealthy time. Then I'd carry my bag all the way across Vallejo again to go to my girl's house and stay there all day long. And we did that for a long time. There were many points like that in my life. We would later on get married. You know, we were 19, got married. So I'm kind of going to be all over the place here. I never had a good relationship with my parents. My dad was way older, way older, had me like in his later 50s or something. But my parents were drug addicts. My parents were alcoholics. All they did was care about partying. My mother was very suicidal. There were points I would come home and we'd have to call, you know, 911 because my mother was in a tub trying to commit suicide. Whether it was pills, whether it was trying to, you know, other methods of trying to kill herself. And that was tough to watch in my early childhood. I was also abused, you know, and I don't want anybody that knows me personally, or my father or my mom to be angry or anything like that. They've since changed their lives, even though we don't have a relationship. But they were very abusive parents, extremely abusive. You know, I was beat regularly. God, even some of the sleeping conditions sometimes, you know, or being punished was, you know, throwing me in a closet in the dark with cat pee and stuff everywhere. I mean, there's so many horror stories, you name it. There were also moments where, as a young boy, that my sister and I were molested and we were raped. I don't have any shame in speaking about that. I think that's what I carried that anger for a lot of years in my life, where I you know, you couldn't touch me if you were whatever it was. I had this anger. I think that's why I turned to fighting and became a boxer and things like that. Was I felt like that was a way for me to take my aggression out. But before there was the Me Too movement in my life, I was the Me Too. You know, before there was a Teen Mom, I was Teen Mom. I could have been a millionaire maybe on Teen Mom, because we beat that. We had our kids super early. I was a grandfather, you know, super early. I still am, you know. My 30s, my daughter had, you know, her kids. And so we're early grandparents and things like that. But let me go back a little bit. Is my childhood was extremely horrible. If you talk about hell and back, I have experienced that. And it's not to say, you know, woe is me, feel sorry for me. I do not want anybody to feel sorry for me at all whatsoever. I'm just hoping that as long as I continue to tell my story and where I've now come to this point in my life of success, that it does motivate others. No matter what your background is, no matter what your past is, no matter what you've gone through, what your family dynamics are, you too can make it. So again, let me go back some. I can go on and on about the horrors that I faced as a child in my home, with my at the hands of my parents. I mean, there were times, God, there were times where we didn't have clothes and things like that. We would depend on like hand-me-downs, And I'd go to school, my pants were bigger than me, my shirts were bigger than me. Today it's a style. My shoes didn't fit. And if we were to ever go shopping for any school stuff, I remember, we'd go to to the Family Bargain Center, or we go to Payless at that time. And we were able to grab 1 or 2 shirts for, it was me, my sister, and my younger brother. And those would be our shirts for the school year. And I was teased a lot. I was bullied as a kid until I learned to defend myself. People knew our conditions and they made fun of us so much. We didn't have the nicest house in the hood. There were even times where I remember the school holding a canned food drive for us. You name it, man. I've been through it, and it would take an entire documentary for me. It would take a good hour, 2 hours or more to tell you so many of the things that I had to go through from birth on. It's been a crazy ride. But anyway, so in growing up like that and not having a role model, a father or anything like that, it led me to do a lot of dumb shit in my life too. I made plenty of mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes. I've hurt people that I loved. I've hurt people that loved me and I didn't know how to love them in return. But let me tell you, karma is a bitch. Sorry for the language that I'm using, because I am a man of faith. But look, I'm an honest man of faith that I curse sometimes. Am I going to hell for that? No. But that's neither here nor there. So I've gone through so many things in my life. The only role model that I did have, I called him my brother. Anybody that knows me knows him to be my brother. His brothers became my brothers. That family became my family. And his name was Rollo. He instilled in me so much game. Like, I learned the streets from him. I learned the drug game from him. Like, he taught me everything. He became that role model. And though there was a lot of positive stuff, there were a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have been doing as a kid to survive. But I became, for better words, or as we call it, I was slanging everything I could, through my teenage years and even later on, through my 20s. One of my friends, I think I can tell the story because I think we've shared it before, but one of my friends, Osai, he became kind of my big brother figure too. He's a few years older than I was. But when we were teenagers, I'm going back again. When we were teenagers, my lady and I and my daughter, we didn't have anywhere to stay. We were too young to get an apartment because we weren't old enough. And so we lied on our application to move in this apartment complex. And it wouldn't be till later on that they found out we were, a little younger than we said we were. But when I moved into this apartment complex, he was the first person I met, and we've been tight ever since. And he got into the game with me. And so he can tell you these stories. Like, we did everything we possibly could to survive. Learned so much from that. And the music came, I had some success. I'm still having some success musically. But at the same time, it was like, that was a struggle too, because I couldn't get a deal. I wasn't black enough. I wasn't Latin enough. I wasn't rap enough. I wasn't pop or R&B enough. I was all over the place. Couldn't get a deal. I struggled with that forever, right? But anyways, again, I'm all over the place. So if you're listening, you're listening. So, not having the role model, my role model being my brother Rollo, I took in a lot of what he was. And I'm actually proud of it today because he did change his life at some point. So let me at least say that. He did change his life, and anyone that knows him knows that he was an amazing soul. Had his problems, but he was an amazing, amazing soul. And there was one thing he always told me when I was growing up, is he always said, you were the best and you will be the best networker I've ever seen. The best networker that anyone will ever know. There's something about you. There's this aura about you that's going to be able to walk into any situation, any office, anywhere, in any environment, and you're going to automatically attract friends, people that are going to want to network with you, want to love you, want to help you. It's an aura about you. And I never believed it. I just thought like, okay, whatever. But I connected with any and everybody I've ever wanted to connect to, never thinking about what he had said. And then I lost him. I lost him some years back, and that was one of the biggest losses. I still to this day hurt. I cry when I see his face. His picture stays next to me because I feel like I still need to make him proud. If he can see me today, I know that he would be proud. So anyhow, I went through many years of trying to figure out my life and, what it was I was meant to do. Then I had a few jail stints. I don't need to tell you what they were for, but I kind of felt like no matter what I was doing, something would always kick me back. I will tell you one of my jail situations that I almost lost my life in jail is I got arrested in Modesto. It was on some, it's kind of a funny story. It isn't, but I was helping my sister's boyfriend at that time. I was 19, I was of age, and he was 17. He was in his last year of school. He needed to graduate. So I was going to take him down to this high school and enroll him as his guardian. So we were walking, right? And as we're walking, his stepbrother pulls up in this car. He says, man, where you guys going? You want to ride? And we say, yeah. So we get in the car. We drive over to this high school. I'm enrolling him in whatever else. And, the brother's waiting for us outside. Well, we get in the car. We're leaving. And I tell you, every cop car, like you name it, like a SWAT team, everybody came out, surrounded us. I tried to take off, I tried to take off and got sacked by this police officer, guns drawn, and I could not figure out what it was that we did wrong. Well, lo and behold, the stepbrother had robbed somebody and took that car. So I went down because I was the oldest in the car. So of course, they took me for that. No matter how much I tried to explain that I had no idea what was going on, I just took a ride. I still went to jail. I did I did quite a bit of time for that. And it was in the Modesto County Jail. And I remember, them coming in the middle of the night, and taking people, not like that, but picking up people to transfer us. And they transferred me to the Honor Farm, and that was in Ceres, California. And so while in the Honor Farm, I was like, where am I going to fit in at? Like, I'm not Mexican, I'm not full on black, I'm definitely not white. And there's these little crowds. My first time being around that situation where I feel like I'm in this movie. I've watched this in movies. Look, I'm a fan of American Me, right? So maybe I can navigate my way through this. I've seen this scene before, and I'm talking to a few people, and there was a group of these Mexican dudes, and it wasn't red and blue. It wasn't none of that. It was like they were segregated to their own kind, right? And so, and it's no offense to anybody, but during my teen years, I didn't really have great relationships with a lot of Mexican dudes because I was boxing and stuff at the time. They hated my guts. And at one point, me and my best friend at that time were stabbed by some norteños, right? And that was over my baby mom at that time. They were much older. That's a whole nother story there. And so I kind of always had that, like, man, we don't get along. And they never knew what I was. It was like, man, here's this darker complected dude that can speak Spanish, and he's living as part of a little called Roadside. He's living in the Roadside, and then I split my time living in the Crest. And so being from both hoods, they just never knew what I was, and I don't know why. They just hated my guts growing up. Norteños and Sureños, right? So anyways, let me go back to when I was in jail. And so I figured, man, I mean, there was only, and in the Honor Farm, there were probably no lie, maybe about 50, 60, Mexican dudes, and there was some Samoans and some black dudes, and there was hella white dudes, right? And I'm seeing bikers and some crazy looking dudes. And so I didn't know who to talk to. So I sparked up a conversation with one dude, Mexican cat. And he says, you know what, while you're here, stay with us. Stay in this little group with us. I'm like, okay, cool. And then so there was an incident where when you those that know. So when you come into the Honor Farm or prison or jail, whatever else, the first thing you got to do is you take a shower or you get bounced. And so there was this guy that came in, a white cat with his son. They were both incarcerated together. And so they were immediately asked to take a shower, right? Mexican dude asked him, and the white cat was like, F you, no. That was that. And I didn't think anything of it. And so while we're having lunch at that time, we all come out of our rooms, we're having lunch. I was selected to be the dude to handle the situation, I guess part of an initiation. So the camp comes up to me, he says, look, at dinner, we need you to handle the dad or whatever else, and then we'll do the rest. And so I kid you not, true story, on my son's life, as God is my witness. And it was like, when he comes out, you take the fork and you hit him with the fork. So me being young and saying like, okay, cool, I want to fit in, maybe this is a part of it, I said, okay, I'll do it. So we go back to our rooms because it wasn't a cell. It was a room. We're locked in. You can't come out. It lets you out for, you know, for breakfast, lunch, dinner, some time on the yard, whatever else. And so lunchtime comes around. Dinner time comes around, and I'm sweating. Like, I'm thinking about this the whole time I'm in my room. Like, I really have to do this. Like, what if I kill this dude? And, you know, and I just couldn't go through it. So dinner comes around, and everyone, and it was really weird. As much as there was these segregated groups, they had us in this humongous pod all together. Everything was in, there wasn't, I mean, you know, it wasn't like the movies where like there's one side split over there to eat and blah, blah, blah. We're all together. And so the moment comes up, I didn't do it. I refused to do it. I couldn't do it. And so they jumped them. I had nothing to do with it. We all, you know, sirens going off, go back to the room, blah, blah, blah. They jumped the dad and the son. And so then, you know, we come out after that the next morning, and none of the dudes, none of the Mexican cats are talking to me. I'm like, man, like, I don't know what's up, but I know I did something wrong by not following through. And it was like that for a few days. But at that point, I was like, man, like, if I'm going out, and I had that mentality, if I'm going out, I'm taking somebody with me. Like, I know I can throw these hands, so I'm socking everything in sight. And I was prepared for that. And so 2 or 3 days later, that next morning, this Samoan dude walks up to me and he says, man, what nationality are you? I said, I'm Puerto Rican, you know, and black. And so, you know, I didn't understand what he was saying. He was like, then why are you hanging out with the Mexican dudes? I said, I don't know. That was the first person I talked to. He said, well, you can't hang out with them. And we talked to him going forward. You're staying with us. You should have been with us, and you're not leaving us. And it was me, you know, the Samoan dudes and the black dudes. They saved my life because it was planned for them dudes to get me instead because I didn't follow through with it. And so I did my time there. And it's crazy. I did it peacefully. There was never any issues after that. I mean, there was fights and stuff like that. I was never involved in any of them because it was like the Samoans and the black dudes there was so much respect for them, for us. Even though it was a smaller group, nobody said anything. And so of course I felt protected. I felt safe, and I felt like, you know, as long as I'm with them, cool, right? And so after my time, I remember on my last day, the first person who I guess tried to get me in, the Mexican cat, you know, it's my time. I did my time. I'm finally getting to leave, and I'm walking past his room, right? And you know, this little glass, and he knocks, and I go back. Guard lets me, you know, go back and whatnot. And the dude says, I'm proud of you. I never want to see you come back here again. You don't belong here. I'll never forget that. And so I left. I never went back. Never went back again. At least to the honor farm. I mean, I did go back to jail, but I didn't go back to honor farm. And but it would be a couple years later for, you know, stupid little stuff. And so that was one incident. You know, I've always had these crazy situations in my life, right, that I've learned from. But I always felt like I was dealt this card of just bad luck. Like no matter where I turned, no matter what I did, it was just a constant bad luck. You know, and then I had my daughter, then I had my son, I get married, I move back to Vallejo, you know, and it's just like, it's trouble. And then I'm wilding out, I'm doing drugs myself, I'm selling drugs, I'm cheating on my baby mom, you know, I'm not there for my daughter and my son like I should have been, you know, I'm all over the place. And then I'm blaming the whole world as for why I'm wilding out. And again, I just never had proper role models. No one to really guide me and say, man, this is how you're supposed to be a husband. This is how you're a father. This is how you're a heart. And I always worked my butt off. Even though I was slanging, I still had a job. You know, and then I got sick because as I was living this life, I'm boxing, I'm playing baseball, and everyone thinks I'm going to make it as a boxing star. And all of a sudden, bam, I pass out. I have a heart problem. Got a heart problem. I think I know what caused it, and that was the drugs I did. And I lost that dream of becoming a boxer, of playing ball, and I was dope. I'm still dope, and I say that with confidence. I'm sorry. I just love the sport so much. I'm a humongous student of the game to this day, so I still get to coach both sports and be around. Due to COVID, I haven't been able to be as much, but I will again. But I felt like I ruined that opportunity. The biggest blessing he gave me was, you know, these, you know, and of course this, but I lost it. And now I'm really wilding out. I can't fight no more. There's no doctor approving me. I got a heart problem. I'm going through tests. I got to have surgery. Like you name it. I was so angry. And in being angry, I didn't give a damn about anybody around me. I'm hurting everybody. I'm destroying every relationship. I'm destroying friends and family, like you name it. And I just kept blaming everybody. Even though a lot of people are to blame for what happened to me, I'm a huge blame for it myself. I wish that I was smarter enough to have realized back then, like, slow down, take your time, realize what it is that you're about to do before you do it, because you're about to go through some major shit if you do. I caught on later on, and don't get me wrong, I've changed my life so much, it's crazy. But I say all this to share with you that although, yeah, I love to be silly, although you see me smiling, I go through a lot of stuff in my head because I still battle that depression. I battle that stress, that anxiety, that feeling of not being good enough, feeling like I'm never gonna make it. I go through that. And look, everybody has a story. Some are 10 times darker than mine. This is just my story. I can go on and on and on of all the things that I've faced in my life, the times that I've been hurt, the times that I've been let down, the times that I've done that to people. That would take ages. So for those that I've hurt who do happen to see this, I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart. And for those that have hurt me so deep, I forgive you for hurting me. I use my story today. Yes, I'm in a t-shirt business. Yes, I do music and I'm involved in so many things, but I use my story today to let you know that no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what you've come from, that you too can make a change. You too can find success. You too, if you don't give up, if you stop living with this monkey on your shoulder that I'm not good enough because all these things that happened to me. Once you can get rid of that monkey on your shoulder, I guarantee you, look, I promise you, you will see so much change in your life in a positive way. But it's not until you can find that place in your heart and in your mind to forgive yourself, to forgive everyone that's ever hurt you, to forgive everything that's ever gone wrong in your life. Not until you can do that will you see that your life starts to change for the better. I'm not your typical t-shirt guy. You're not gonna get that from me. I'm not your typical music guy. You're not gonna get that from me. I'm not built that way. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that, oh man, I'm just like all these other t-shirt people. I'm gonna leave that for them because they are amazing at what they do. And it's not that they don't have a story. I'm sure they do. Everybody has a story, but I'm just giving you mine. And I'm letting you know that people like me, if you're just like me, if you need something to motivate you, if it looks like me, if it talks like me, acts like me, because we're the same, and you can this resonates with you, then I'm telling you from someone that's just like you that it is possible. Some might find it corny. Some might be like, shut up, dude. We don't care about your story. This is not for them. This is for you. This is for you who is thinking and going through exactly what I've gone through, exactly what I'm going through. This is for you. You know who you are. This message was dedicated for you. I'm supposed to tell you this right now because you out there needs to hear this. We don't care about anybody who thinks we're corny. This is not for them. Again, it's for you. And I want you to understand, and I want you to know that life is not over until it's over. As long as you have air in your lungs, as long as you're walking, talking, breathing, as long as you're healthy, as long as you're trying to get healthy, that means you're still alive. And as long as you're alive, you have every single moment in your life to change the negative and turn it into a positive. As long as you're able to think freely, then that tells me that you have the ability to put together anything it is you want to do in thought and make it happen. But you have to have faith. You have to believe in yourself. You have to bet on yourself. You have to be your biggest fan. But in order to be your biggest fan, you have to stop being your biggest criticizer. You have to stop being the person that downs yourself so much. You have to stop being the person that praises everybody else around you, but then downs yourself, belittles yourself. Stop doing that. Stop putting everybody else on this planet on this pedestal and then leaving yourself at the bottom of everything, because you're worth more than that. There's no difference between you, me, and anybody else that's in a place that you want to be at. The only difference might be their house might be bigger, their cars might be better, their bank account might be bigger, but what does that mean? Does that mean that they don't have issues? That means they don't have depression? That means that they don't go through whatever else? No, they go through the same exact stuff. I'm just giving you my life, my story, because you're part of my journey. And being part of my journey, I said a whole year and something ago that I'm going to vlog every single step of the way. And those that have been with me from the beginning are watching it unfold so that you know it's real. I'm not your typical YouTube guy. I'm never going to be. I don't give a damn if YouTube ever gives me the same love and attention that it gives anybody else. I don't care. I'm happy with 10 views. I don't care, because I know that who I'm supposed to reach is part of those 10 views. That's what matters to me. So again, I'm sorry that you're not going to get the typical, this is how you do this, and if you go and buy this product right here, and this is how you cut that. I'm going to give you that, of course, you know, but I'm not going to give you that every single day, because that's not me. I'm going to give you what I'm going through, how we're doing it, and I'm always going to give you the most affordable way to do things, the way that I'm doing the things and the way that I'm winning by using those certain things. And along the way, you'll see me connect with people, you know, that you do watch. People that are these big old YouTubers. You'll see me connect with them too. We'll collaborate. We'll do a lot of stuff like that. And then I will find moments where I can have them tell their story as well. I've done that. I'm sure you see me doing that. It would take me hours upon hours of time just to tell you every bit of my life. You know, I hope that I gave you a little bit, at least. I hope that this resonates with somebody. If you've watched it this far, I appreciate you. This isn't meant for you to feel sorry for me. I do not want you to feel sorry for me at all. This is just meant to motivate you, to encourage you, to let you know that someone out there understands what you're going through, what you've gone through, and that you always have somebody you can talk to. I may not be able to answer every last person because I get so many messages. I love it, but at the same time, it's overwhelming sometimes because I feel bad that I can't get back to everybody fast enough. But I'm here, and as long as I'm here, as long as I'm breathing, walking, talking, and alive, I will always do my best to get back to you, to help you with whatever it is. So if you watched it this far, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if you thought I was silly along the way, I don't give a damn it. But if you enjoyed this, share this with somebody. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to. Doesn't matter, wherever you're watching this from, I'm glad that you watched it. On that note, I'm gonna say thank you, and I'm out.
Hey, what's it take to be happy on the planet? Do you panic when life don't go how you planned it? Should've folded from the cards that I got handed and never bounced back off of how hard that I landed on the granite. Damage, I ain't taking shit for granted.